Hello, everyone, and welcome. Welcome back to Stories Worth Hearing, where I get to interview all of these beautiful women who are on a mission to create. And today, again, I have this wonderful guest with me, Lizzie Korsgaard. And I got to tell you, Lizzie and I had connected, it feels like almost 8 months ago, a year ago, or something like that. I can't remember when, but it was on Instagram. And then we had the opportunity to talk to each other live. And guys, she is a really interesting and special person. And I love, love. I won't even tell you anything about her story, but let me tell you a little bit about her. Lizzie is a brand photographer. She does more than just take pretty pictures. I mean, she really dives down into who you are in your business and what the business wants to portray. You dives down into you to understand what your pictures can, depict from there, to get more clients, to have that beautiful review, any social media, anything like that. Lizzie can capture that for you. She worked in Fortune 100 corporate and was project management and home and improvement. And so she's got an analytical mind, but she also has that creativity, as you will see and we'll talk about. So she loves personal connections. And that's what I always love, because Lizzie reached out to me and said, hey, let's talk. Let's just have that conversation, which I think is wonderful because we tend to lose that sometimes. And she loves to be able to help build that relationship by just having fun. And that's what we're going to do today. So one other thing about Lizzie I thought was really interesting is she's Danish, Korean, and American. And she speaks a lot of different languages, loves to travel, loves to dance, loves to paint, loves to learn. She is just a person that is out there. And this is our woman on a mission today to create. So Lizzie, welcome, welcome, welcome. And thank you for being on.
Thank you so much, Denise. Quite an introduction. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for asking me.
Oh, this is perfect. So when we talked in our reconnection, you had a story about the pandemic, you and your business. And I'd like for you to share that story with our people.
Yeah, sure. So I did start my business pre-pandemic. I was in the corporate world, so I was doing project management, and I wanted to move into something more creative. And I figured the brand photography would be perfect to really combine the project management and diving deep into businesses and really building one-on-one relationships, but then also getting creative with the photography and actually creating those powerful images. Now, obviously, with the pandemic coming on as well, I couldn't go meet up with clients in person to do their photo shoots. But thankfully, there was a European photographer who created an app that we could all use. So now I actually do virtual brand photography, which really just means that I can stay in my home and the client can stay in their home, and we can be in different countries, different states. So we don't have to be in the same place. And yeah, so it's really cool. They're fun, and the quality of photos are actually excellent still because I still edit them afterwards. But it's all through the power of the internet and the magic of technology. There's an app where the client downloads it to their phone, gives me a code that's on there, and that connects me directly into their phone's camera. So that has been a lifesaver during the pandemic, and that's what I'm really specializing in right now.
Oh my gosh, that is so amazing. When they say there's an app for that, there is an app.
Really.
And I think that's wonderful because you still are connecting to people and really diving deep into their stories and everything. And a lot of times it's kind of like where I live now is very remote. Absolutely love it, but it's remote. And so, and there are many, many people like that, especially since a pandemic where they have decided to kind of get out of the major city and maybe have a little lesser pace of life, that finding someone that can do this virtually, an expert like yourself, that cannot just take the picture. I mean, those phones out there today can take some really good pictures if you know what you're doing. But it is about you connecting with someone first, asking the questions, finding out who they are, what is the message they want to convey, and go from there.
Yes.
I think is such a beautiful, beautiful thing. Yeah.
And that's where a lot of my analytical mind comes in. I love asking questions. So a lot of it starts with the similar way that we connected first. I just really want to get to know the other person and who they are as a business owner, and just on a personal level.
Yeah.
And then really diving in to see where can we really help uplift your branding, so that you can really magnetize more clients to you.
Oh, I think that's wonderful. I love it. So is it mostly, do you do work mostly just for people who are in, have their own business, or maybe do you have some aspects from the corporate world? Do you do any corporate work with that?
So right now I don't really do a lot of corporate work, or I've done a few headshots for people's LinkedIn profiles, but I mainly work with business owners. So they're either like solo entrepreneurs or like teams of one or two. That's typically who I've been working with. But yeah, it's really, I want to help people live more fulfilling lives, because that's why I left the corporate world. There was something else where it's like, I wanted to do something else. I wanted to do something a bit more creative as well. And it's hard. I mean, you can probably attest to this as well. There's a lot of, I feel like having a business is really a personal development journey. But I just really wanted to help other business owners that are also pursuing the life they want and designing it exactly the way they want. So whatever piece I can help with, which is the brand photography at the moment, that's what I really love to do. So yeah, I'm specifically working with business owners because I think it's a big differentiator for business owners. If you're offering a service or product that's pretty generic or the same as anyone else, like the thing that'll make you stand apart is you, and showing who you are, and people buy from people. So the more that you can show up and share who you are and what you stand for, the more you'll attract the right people for you, and they can actually start to really feel like they know, like, and trust you faster.
So I'm going to stretch you a little bit, because that can
Okay.
also be for people who are in transition in their life or wanting to transition, maybe not necessarily out of the corporate world, but into a higher level position.
Yes.
You could capture that essence of them, not just a headshot, because the LinkedIn profiles today are really putting their brand message out there. It's a personal brand.
Yes,
So,
exactly. And there are also a lot of entrepreneurs. So the ones that are very entrepreneurial, but they work inside the corporate companies. And I think for them, it's also important to have a personal brand. I mean, anyone should have a personal brand, but if you're really kind of pushing forward on certain things, or you're a thought leader, I think it's really powerful to have brand.
yeah.
I'm not saying I won't work with them. It's just right now. My focus has been business owners, but I mean, I also have, and I think business owner is kind of like very broad. I also work with a musician. So you wouldn't necessarily think that's a business owner, but having photos to represent her and her brand is also super important. So
I love it.
yeah, anyone who really wants to show more of who they are, that's what I'm happy to help.
Yes, I love it. Okay, so you went from corporate of project management, process improvement, and everything, to wow, to photographer. So there had to be, you must have loved photography before.
Yes.
Yeah, so you were doing some photography, maybe just personally, things like that. So tell me, what process kind of did you, since you're a process improvement girl, what process
Yeah.
determined that's what you wanted to do?
Yeah. So I feel like I've always been somebody who's improving things, whether it's processes or even personal development. So it's just this like problem solving or improving things. I don't really know where it started, but I think it's just coming out of curiosity as well, and asking a lot of questions. But yes, I've been taking photos for as long as I remember, but more personally. So even when I was younger, every vacation, I'm the one taking photos. And when Facebook came around, I was sharing it on Facebook. But after a while, I kind of stopped, not taking the photos, but posting them, because I felt like there wasn't really a point to what I was doing. It was just like showing everyone my amazing vacation. And I kind of stopped, but I still took the photos, but just kind of housed them on my own. And while I was in the corporate world, I grew a lot, and I don't regret that experience at all. It's actually helped shape who I am in a lot of ways. Especially as an introvert, it's really had me come out more and communicate with people, present more, and a lot of dealing with conflict and all of that. So yeah, but I still had this feeling that there was something else I wanted to do. And like you mentioned earlier, I have a lot of hobbies, whether it's dance or paint, and I just like to be creative. So I was like, okay, I've left my corporate job. I'm still not sure exactly what it is I want to do, because I had so many interests, yet I had this fear of being able to monetize any of them, because I still very much felt like a student in a lot of the fields rather than someone who can teach or add value, except for the photography part. So I decided to focus on photography. And then at that moment, I felt like the universe kind of helped make that happen. I had a friend reach out and say, hey, are you interested in photography? And I hadn't told him recently that I was, but his friends were looking for someone to do photos in New Jersey because they were based more in New York. So I was like, okay. So that was some weddings, some events. And then from there, I just realized I don't want to give up all my weekends or the special evenings, because that's when events really are, and weddings. And I came across brand photography. So that was just the perfect combination of still being in the business world in my mind, because I did like that as well and was missing it, but still getting to be.
Yeah. Yeah. So oh, I love that story, because that photographer, you had a passion and a love for it. And when you decided to leave the corporate world, you had to do some deep dive into yourself.
Definitely.
And really, yeah, to really say, what do I want to do? And I think a lot of people, just like you were talking about, have that kind of underlying question, fear, whatever you want to call it, of can I? And can I make money at it? Everybody knows that you can do it, but can you make money at it? And what I have to say is that when you're aligned with it, and it's like you can't do anything else,
Right.
you will begin to make money at it. Yeah. So has there ever been a time since you started this road that you just wanted to throw your hands up in the air and go, oh, screw this, I'm out of here?
For my business?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, especially very early on. So I think I knew that I didn't want to continue being in the corporate. It was burning me out. And I think for me, even though I loved doing project management and the work I was doing and the people I was working with, I was in meetings all day and I was burning out. And so I couldn't really focus on sort of building up my side hustle in the evenings or on the weekends. And so I don't recommend this necessarily, but I had quit my job, resigned there so that I could really just focus on my business full time. It wasn't even really monetized at that point, which is why I don't recommend that, because that is a whole other set of stress, because now you don't have money coming in from your stable job nor from your business. And so it's really hard to battle all those, like self-imposter syndrome. And we were talking about this earlier, but being a perfectionist wasn't helpful either, because then I needed everything to be perfect before I could take action. And I think the key is really to take action and just keep going and learning along the way. But yeah, just a mix of sort of grieving having left the corporate world, and also having imposter syndrome, because for about 10 years, I was a certain person. I was a very corporate person, I was doing well, and now I was trying to be more of the creative person, and I didn't really own it at the time, because for me, it was always something I do on the side. It's a hobby, it's an interest. It wasn't really, this is my identity. And I think for me, there was a huge shift there, because your identity is usually tied so much into what you do. So I had to let that go and really dive deep and see, who am I and can I really do this? And so, yeah, along the way, there are moments when you're just like, okay, maybe I'm not made out for this. I'm not going to make it here. I'm not like all these other like amazing photographers that I'm seeing making lots of money. Maybe I should just go back and get a job. And since I had great relationships, there were occasions where people are reaching out like, hey, here's a job opportunity. Do you want to come back? Or I've moved to this company and I'd love for you to join. And it's really hard in those moments to stay true to yourself and say, I really like working with you, and that might be a great position, but right now, the right thing for me to do is really continue exploring my own path. So yeah, it's tough.
So what was it that made you stick with it? Can you pinpoint one thing?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think for me, I feel like for as long as I remember, even like since high school, because I went to a magnet high school where they had structured it like college, so you had to pick an academy. So they had a business academy, culinary, medical science, etc. And even then, I didn't know what I really wanted to do. Like I auditioned for the performing arts, but didn't have any dance auditions planned or anything else. So I just winged it, which is didn't work out for me. And then my second choice was business. And the reason I went into business in the beginning was because I figured once I know what I want, business will be a helpful skill to have. So let me just go to business until I figure out what I want. So that went through 4 years of high school. And then the same thing happened for college. I still don't know what I want to do, so let's stick to business. So I went to study business and did operations and management. After that, it was like just another, okay, I still don't know what I want, but here's a great opportunity in the financial industry. So let's try that. I knew at that time I did like operations and process improvement. So that's really what has been the highlight of my corporate journey. So I do still like that part.
What really kept you going?
Yeah. But through this whole journey, I felt like I was still questioning what's the purpose of my life? What am I meant to do? I'm not feeling fulfilled. And then my dad passed 2016, so it's a little over 6 years ago. And that's when, one, I was home a lot. I'm grateful that the company I was with let me stay with him. So I was able to kind of have more of my flexible schedule now because I was with my dad, taking him to the hospital, and then feeling like, okay, I can work remotely. There's different ways of sort of designing your life. And then after he passed, he was only 61. So I felt like life was too short to just keep waiting and hoping something will fall in my lap. So I think that's really the moment where I decided then, like, I need to take some action to figure out how to design my life and figure out what it is I really want. Yeah, that's really what propelled me. And then just this deep sense for me, what's keeping me going as well is I never felt like I fully gave it my all. So I wasn't ready to give it up to go back to corporate. Like I have this thing where I don't want to regret it later down the line, thinking, what if I did this? And what if I gave it my all? So I'm actually still in this position where it's like, okay, let's give it my all and really see how far I can take this. And if it doesn't work out, yeah, I can always go back to corporate. That's kind of my mindset because I know how to do that. And hopefully people still want to work with me. That's what I hear at least. But I owe it to myself and my future self so that I don't regret it. I want to know the answer of, can I really do this or not? So yeah, it's just really this constant, like wanting to make the most out of life and feel fulfilled.
You know, I was going to ask you if you had words of wisdom to give, but I think you just gave them right there. So we're going to tie this up, Lizzie. Thank you so much for sharing your message and everything with us. How can people find you? And guys, I just want to tell you that all of her information is going to be down below in the description. So please look there, but give us a quick idea.
Yeah, of course. So you can pretty much find me on all the social media platforms at Lizzie Korsgaard. So just my name. And my website is also lizziekorsgaard.com. So very simple. But I'm mostly active right now on Instagram and building it up a little bit more on LinkedIn. So, but any platform that you're on, I'm probably there as Lizzie Korsgaard, and I'd love to connect.
Yeah, definitely. And that's Lizzie Korsgaard. And again,
Yes.
everyone, it's going to be down below. Lizzie, thank you so much. I appreciate this and our time together. Everyone, I love that we were here together to be able to hear from another beautiful woman who is on a mission to create. And I'm Denise Hansard. I am your host and life architect. Please like, share, and subscribe. And And until next time.